Silas, it's been fantastic to watch you this year fighting back at the front in your rightful position. Are we daring to dream of win number 106 coming, maybe even this weekend?
It's a bit too close for that, probably. It's only race 3, and we've only just got a podium after some time trying to chase that down. So I think one step at a time, and we're just going to keep trying to build on what we've had so far performance-wise. Obviously, Mercedes are still ahead, and so we're under no illusion that they are clearly ahead. We've qualified 7 tenths, 6 tenths, and 3 tenths, I think, ahead. So we still got a gap to try and close, and we've not yet made a step to do that. But every weekend is a new opportunity, and so we'll give it our best shot for sure.
With the podium and everything, the car's obviously great to drive. How much are you looking forward to this weekend? And if I can ask, what was the reception like in Yokohama when you stepped out of the F40 and everyone realised it was a 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton in there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously there's lots of different views on this year's generation of car, but I mean, for me, it's just exciting that it's a new era for the sport. I think every time it has been a new era, it's always been exciting to see where people come out, and I'm proud of the team, the work we've done over the last year to get us to this point and be closer to the front and in the battle. I think is really a showing of the amazing work the team's done. Of course, there's bits that I don't love, like the deployment and the lift and coast, some things that we happen to do, and SM, it's all not ideal, but racing-wise, it's been really, really fun. That race I had with Charles just in the second race was one of the most fun races I've had, I think. Other than that, was maybe me and Nico in Bahrain many years ago. So I just hope we get more of that, because that's what racing's about. It's like back and forth, rather than one take and then it's over. So I personally enjoy that. And my point that I was making earlier is that in karting, it happens in karting all the time, back and forth. No one ever calls it yo-yo racing. It's real racing. So whoever's coming out with that is, yeah. That's it. And then Tokyo was really cool. I've always done these Tokyo kind of drift videos. I've always loved the culture in Japan, and I know they love the car culture as well. And I used to play Gran Turismo a lot, and I loved it. So that's why I've used some of their kind of classic, like the Nissan GTR Skyline was one of my favorite cars. So to mess around with that, but driving F40 around town, and then I called for I asked if they could do a meetup, because I've seen it on online, and it was cool to see some people turn up, and people definitely weren't expecting me in an F40, but still, man, I love that car.
What makes this car seem so good for you? Because it seems night and day from last year's car to this year's car, and you seem to be enjoying not only life but driving again, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I think on the car, when I joined Ferrari last year, I had nothing to do with any of the build of that car. That's obviously, I joined the team and the car was already in the process of being made as I joined, and it was an evolution of the previous year's car. And so I arrived and I was learning about a car that had been built, obviously not built really for me, and generally didn't suit my driving style. Wasn't something, there was elements that I was asking for, but we couldn't put in the season because it's too expensive, like suspension, to build with the budget cap. So the positive thing, it was a really, really hard season. We didn't develop the car through the year because we decided to focus on this year's car. I got to work on the simulator and really get to learn and engage with all the engineers. And there are things that I was asking for. So we have to have this in the car next year. And I pushed and pushed. We come to this year's car, and it's obviously a completely new era. It's a new start for everybody. But they've got a couple of things on there that I'd asked for, which I'm really grateful that they listened and did. And Charles and I tested them, and we both love it. And then just the cars are lighter and nimble, less downforce, but it's a lot more go-kart-esque. You're throwing it around. It's quite fun. Now, of course, if the car was really bad, it would feel. I think it's all about perspective, and obviously we're one of the top teams, and we've got better downforce than, for example, the teams are right at the back. And I understand when you're at the back, it's never a good feeling. So, but it's just a combination of it just being new, and also we're in a development phase, so it just gets better from here. We're adding performance, we're chasing performance in the wind tunnel, we're chasing, there's things that we're asking for, hey, if you build that, this is where we would end up being, and they're going to come over the next like 8 months, and that's exciting. So I guess just overall enjoying that, and also I've just prepared my mind and my body better than ever this year, and I'm feeling good about it.
So Max, here we are at sunny Suzuka track. You've dominated since its return to the calendar in 2022. What's the optimism levels like of maintaining that streak this weekend? The weather's in play, could mix things up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think about the previous years, because every year is different, you know, before you start driving here. And we have to be realistic, of course, that we are nowhere near that kind of level at the moment. So I just go into the weekend and see where we will be.
On the F1 side, I want to ask whether the April break will help with understanding the car. And on the non-F1 side, we carried the Nürburgring race, and congratulations to you and your teammates. I know there was the mess up, but that wasn't affecting the result, if you see what I mean. Well, I mean, it did affect the result, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And your thoughts and how that was and how much you enjoyed that.
Well, I hope so. I hope that we can use that break as a little bit of understanding our car a little bit better, learn from the previous races, and just try to be closer to the front. I think that's the target for us. China was not a nice weekend for us, so I hope that for a while will be, let's say, our worst weekend. So in that sense, I guess the break will be good. And yeah, I mean, for me, Nordschleife was fantastic. Every time I jumped out of the car, I was just smiling, just having a good time, enjoying driving with my teammates as well. They're great guys, funny guys, fast guys. But yeah, at the same time, getting up to speed for the 24. A lot of things that I need to learn. Same in like a driver swap, where initially my teammates were telling me a bit what to do, because I mean, normally I jump out of my car and I get helped in as well with the belts. You know, now you have to work together a bit, and I never did stuff like that. Okay. So I really felt like a rookie in that sense. But yeah, good experience. Of course, a shame that we got disqualified, but it was just in the pit stop practice basically that we were trying in qualifying. By mistake we just put another set on the car when we were doing out-ins. So that's not ideal, but it didn't take away, of course, our performance in the race, which was good. I was happy with that, and of course I would rather have it happen now than in the 24. So I'm sure that the team now will check everything double, but it's a really good group of people, smart people involved, and I'm sure that we can do a good job.
Coming to Suzuka, iconic track, iconic races, great battles here. But how do you think that the racing will now change with these new era cars in Suzuka track? Can you somehow?
Yeah, I mean, it will be probably quite different. Also, just the speeds that you reach in certain places. Now, of course, we have our straight line mode before 130R, where in the last few years we never really had like a DRS style effect. Let's see. I mean, honestly, this is normally a track, of course, which is very hard to pass at. Maybe with the way the racing has been this year, you can pass. I hope I don't need to do as much passing as I had to do in China, but I don't know.
Well, George, it was obviously your teammate Kimi Antonelli's day in the sun 2 weeks ago at the Chinese Grand Prix. How optimistic are you of hitting back straight away here in Suzuka?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he had a great weekend in China, and obviously I was a little bit annoyed that it wasn't me on that top set, but with all of the struggles that we had, I kind of saw it as 18 points gained and not 7 points lost, to be honest, because you look at the problems we had on Saturday, the issues that McLaren faced as well. It could have been any one of us, so I was just pleased to get another strong result. It's been a very, very good start to the year. I'm just excited to go back racing here.
In China, everyone saw that your front wing closes in 2 different stages. Was it a problem or something intentional? Advantages or disadvantages?
It wasn't intentional, and I don't think it's not an advantage for sure. It's actually a problem, so it's something we're trying to solve. it isn't a straightforward solution, but there is definitely no advantage to that, because when we brake, the front wing is still open. Obviously Kimi had the lockup. I think this was a contribution to the front wing, so it's definitely not intentional.
Can you help us to understand what happened technically?
No, because I don't actually know. To be honest, I just know it's very challenging for the front wing, because if you compare with the rear wing, when it starts to close, you have the wind to help the rear wing to close. The front wing, it has to battle against the wind, and you need a lot of pressure. And yeah, I don't know if we don't have enough, but it isn't easy to bring the wing up when you're driving 300 in the straight.
Grazie.
Nonetheless, there's a lot of talk when you're winning. I don't know if it was Toto who said that now the politics will start. People are going to try and chip away at your advantage. The FIA have already changed something for qualifying, saying that you can only use 8 instead of 9 megajoules. Is this going to carry on? Are you feeling got at a bit as a team?
That's just how the sport goes, to be honest. Has always been the case. At the end of the day, our team's worked so hard to get ourselves in this position, and the best team should come out on top. And we've obviously had 4 years of struggle, and there have been 2 other teams in those 4 years who have dominated and won. So just because we're sort of back on top, I don't think it's quite right that everybody's trying to slow us down, especially when you're 2 races into a big old season. So things will change. We've already seen, it looked like Red Bull was overweight from some things we saw in the press last week. McLaren haven't brought an upgrade to the car. They're still running their Bahrain package. So we shouldn't forget these things. We do have an advantage right now, but I think we've just really hit the ground running, and we've done a great job, and we hope it continues, but there's no guarantee.
I know it's super early, but do you feel that Kimi is your closest rival to the title, or you're in completely different levels?
I think, right now, as Mercedes, we have a small advantage over Ferrari and a good advantage over everyone else, but these things change so quickly. We saw in the press last week, it was leaked a bit about Red Bull being a bit overweight, so they could probably improve this quite quickly, and they look fast in Melbourne. McLaren still haven't brought any updates to the car, and they obviously have a Mercedes engine in the back, so we want to make the most of it while we do have this advantage, but we're not taking anything for granted, because the competition is so fierce, and we're sure that Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari will keep pushing us. So it's too early to.
Well, Jack, a little bit of a different Thursday for you, in that you're prepping to get in the car for tomorrow. So how good was it when you found out that you're going to get the opportunity?
It was great. I've always wanted to drive this circuit, and it's kind of a dream circuit that I haven't driven at. And there's not many circuits I haven't driven at, but this is one of them. So to drive here, it's just super cool, and of course, first time in 2026 getting a chance in the car. So super excited when I heard the news last week that I was gonna drive, and immediately got to working in the simulator.
How has the prep gone for this session as well? How much sim time have you had?
Yeah, quite a bit. I didn't know till last Thursday, so I was only in the sim last Friday before I flew to Japan, but I'd already done some Suzuka earlier in the week, so I've done a couple hundred laps by now, and obviously very familiar with the circuit, and feeling well prepared.
What have the team kind of told you or given you as a task list for tomorrow, really?
I think from my side, it's just, of course, keep it clean and do some laps, give good feedback. I don't think anything special from my side. I think, more importantly, we're gonna try and do as many laps as possible. Of course, we have some things to test, things to try as always, but we want to do a bunch of laps.
Hey Jack, Honda home race, difficult situation for Aston Martin. There could be easier circumstances for an FP1. Still, with what feeling do you go into the FP1 tomorrow?
I mean, I have a good feeling, you know, from my side. It's a great opportunity, and you know, every time I jump in the car, I'm very excited. So you know, regardless of how the first 2 races have been for us as a team, you know, I'm super excited to be driving on track.
What can you personally do to help the team develop their issues?
I think from my side, a lot, you know, of course, bringing it back to the simulator, you know, of course, having a different perspective as well, having never driven the car, so, you know, I'm not influenced by anything that's happened in the past, so I'm coming with a fully, you know, fresh mind into the car, and of course, I'm gonna try and get the best feedback I can.
All the best. Thank you, Jack.
So Esteban, one of your favourite circuits, a bit of a home race for the team, a pretty cool livery. I imagine the mood's pretty high at the minute.
Yeah, for sure. It's super exciting times. We had a mega week doing a lot of different activities, you know, with Toyota, showing the livery, you know, in the middle of Tokyo. Yeah, really excited to come here as always, and it's an exciting circuit. There's a lot of things to look forward to, so yeah, I'm excited.
I know that the safety car obviously didn't quite work in your favour at the last race, but in terms of the car and how the kind of work's gone back at the factory and you with the team, how has it been, and you a bit more confident?
I think you know, there is a lot of positive, you know, to take away from these first 2 races. I think the base car performance is really strong. Of course, we didn't get very lucky in the first 2 races, you know, with bad VSCs and safety car at the wrong time, but you know, here I'm excited to come back, enjoy the track as it's one of my favorite, and see exactly where the performance can go, because I think we had also decent performance last year, but this car is superior to what we had last year. So I look forward to see, and you know, if we can have a clean weekend, that would change from the first 2. Hello.
Can you just expand a bit on that? How much of a better car is it? Is it also helped by the Ferrari PU is good as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a more competitive car looking at the field, you know, in comparison to last year. For sure, last year's car with the regulation was quicker, but if you just compare it with everybody at the moment, so far, it seems to be very competitive, especially in the race stream. You know, we are quite fast. We are fighting with cars that we couldn't fight last year with. There's a lot of positive on that side, but you know, the development race is going very fast, and people keep bringing things every single race like we do, so we need to keep pushing to be able to maintain this level of performance, because otherwise, you know, you could get catched by other people and fall down the other. So yeah, we'll see what this weekend holds for us, but I look forward to see what we can do.
And the starts are good?
Starts are very good, yeah. They've been very good on the first 2. I think I've only gained positions. But again, this is an advantage we have now. It's not a guarantee we keep it.
Actually, like 2 races in to life as a Cadillac driver, how's it all going? Are you guys pretty happy with where you're at heading into race 3 here in Japan?
We've made progress, so that's good. We've seen that, yes, not finishing the first race with both cars, we managed to do that in China, which is kind of the first step, trying to get the reliability right, and now of course we need to increase the performance, but yeah, we've definitely seen every session, every weekend we're growing as a team. Everything is getting better, and again this weekend just really trying to continue from China. So again, we got to finish with both cars, but hopefully in a better place. So that's how we roll.
How difficult do you think it is going to be to make that next step? Because you've obviously done everything right so far, and you've got initially kind of got a car to the finish and you're making progress, but to make that next step is trickier, isn't it?
It's in this sport, you know, everyone is developing, everyone is improving, but I think for us as a new team, you know, in theory we should be able to hopefully make bigger steps, and you know, the gap at the moment to the front is quite big. So hopefully we can close that down a bit more quicker, but I think it's then going to be the final steps, those final jumps, tenths is going to be more tricky than the initial part. But yeah, we're working on it. There's many areas we know we can improve, and we will in the future. So at least we have a clear direction.
Have you figured out a sort of balance between pushing and generating recharge now?
Still, the biggest fun thing is still, you know, getting the most out of the car in terms of the cornering. You know, the right lines, being on the limit, braking late, good exits, but yes, there's an extra element to it now. Gear choices, the way you feed in the power, but that's still, at least for us, is quite minimal. But it's still the biggest gain is just pushing the car to the limit.
Okay, and talking about the limit, they've dropped the limit now from 9 megajoules to 8 in qualifying, which maybe will mean a bit less super clipping. They might mean a bit slower lap times, but is that a trade-off that maybe is understandable?
I guess we'll find out. It's something that I just learned recently about the change. It's quite last minute, but I would personally take the faster lap time because that's just the nature we have. But if it helps kind of things to be a bit more consistent and helps people from the outside to understand better.
So Pierre, after the 2025 you endured, I love the fact that you're now complaining about not getting a P5 in the Chinese Grand Prix. What do you expect for this weekend? Same sort of performance? Optimistic?
Yeah, I think we come with a very open mind. It's been good to score points in these first two races in Australia and in China. Definitely in China we showed more potential, and I think obviously naturally I'm focusing on what's ahead of us. Still, a lot of things learned after every single lap, and there's still a few things which we can improve with the current package we have, and hopefully we can fight for similar position in here in Suzuka, which is a very different track.
I mean, you've obviously figured out under these new rules how to drive these cars as quick as they can go.
Yeah, I like to think we've figured some part out, and I think we've showed some decent potential. In Australia and China was definitely better. There's still quite a few things which we need to get on top of, and that's why it sort of gives me like good optimism in the potential that we have as a team. So hopefully we can make another step this weekend. It's a very different track, a lot more high speed. I think it's going to be a bit of a test for us and the race car we got, because high speed hasn't been the kindest to us so far, but we've got a few things in place to make sure we can sort of carry the form, and I'm pretty excited. It's the coolest track of the calendar, so it's going to be pretty exciting to.
Well, Carlos, no, positive in China. I know it's been a difficult start to the year, but positive to get some points. This weekend, what's your kind of feeling? Is it going to be back to just another difficult weekend unless something works in your favour?
Yeah, well, the reality is that in a couple of weeks there's no magic things that you can come up with, so for sure Japan is going to be a bit more of the same. We are going to try to test some few things to make the car more competitive this weekend and see if we can cut the gap to the midfield, but the reality is that in China we were quite far from the midfield even in pure numbers, so I don't expect any miracles. Still, we will do what we've been doing up until now this year, which is maximize whatever we have, and if that brings us another nice surprise like in China, we'll take it.
Is it pretty clear already like where you need to be and where you're going to be in a certain number of races time once all the updates and the change you need to make? Is it clear enough for you?
No, because we don't know the amount of upgrades our rivals are going to bring, so we know what we are going to bring in the next 6 months, let's say.
Yeah.
We know what we can find from our car in terms of weight and downforce, but if the others find the equivalent of that, you're going to stay still, no? So it's all relative. F1 is all relative to what the others bring, and we will see if what we are about to do the next few months is enough to join the midfield and hopefully even beat them one day.
Good to get off the mark with some points in China. I think it's probably known, and I think the team have admitted that the car has a bit of weight to lose. Once that weight comes off, is it basically a good car? And has James asked you to cut your hair to save weight as well?
Yeah, also.
Is this another haircut?
It's all part of the strategy. But no, honestly, we have a lot of weight to lose. I think it's no secret. Would it be a good car? I think no. I think we can do better. I think apart from the weight, I believe this team has the potential to design and produce a car that is much better than what we've done for this start of the year. We had many issues on the production side, as you guys know, that delayed the production of the car, it put the car in a bit of overweight or even more higher overweight than what we expected. So the reality is that we can all do a lot better, and as a team we're not all gonna only take weight out of the car, we need to gain downforce and get a better balance in it, and that's all of the targets for this year, to improve all those areas.